Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now in our last episode, we dove into the first part of the post screen for our Kotlin Multiplatform social media app. We successfully queried a post, displayed it on screen, and even fetched and displayed our comment using our custom paginated approach. Today we are taking it a step further. We will focus on adding and removing comment here inside PostDetailScreen. This will involve creating a comment input section, the section that you see here at the bottom of our screen, so users can easily add new comments. We will implement a model bottom sheet that appears when the user taps on these three-dot icon on any comment, giving them options like deleting a comment or viewing the commenter's profile. Alright, so let me give you a demo of what we're going to build in today's episode. So as you can see, when I tap on this input comment section, it pops up the keyboard and I can input a new comment. So I will say a new comment. Now, if I hit send, as you can see, a loading indicator appears and our new comment is inserted and it displayed here as the newly added comment. Now here I can go ahead also and click on this three dot and click on delete comment, which removes the comment from our comment list. I will go ahead and add a new comment, another test comment. If I click send, the keyboard is hidden and you can see that our comment has been added. If we go back, like for example here, you can see that our comment count has increased. All right, now without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, now before we start with comment input section composable, I wanted to mention some minor changes here in PostDetailScreen. First of all, I have extracted the circular progress indicator that shows when we first load our data into this new composable screen level loading view. As you can see, it just our circular progress indicator inside a box that is set to fill max size. I have also extracted this screen level loading error view. Now, of course, this is the error view we show if we couldn't load the data. It has this onRetry callback that is called whenever the user clicks on this button to retry the request. Now, one more thing is this loading more item. Now, this is an extension method on lazy list scope. This will be called whenever we want to show the circular progress indicator when we load more items. Lastly, for the post detail screen, I didn't want the post list item to be clickable. So if we go here to post list item composable, I have made this onPost click function type nullable with a default value of null. And as you can see here, for the container column, I have commented out this aspect ratio, and also for the clickable, now we are checking to see if onPost click is different of null, then we can apply these extra modifiers. Otherwise, we just return the normal modifier that has been already applied. Okay, now here inside PostDetailScreen, we will need to scroll down, and right below this comments header section composable, we will define a new private composable and we'll name this one as comment input. Of course, it has this modifier parameter. It should also get this comment text, the onComment change, and also the onSend click for whenever the comment need to be sent. Now here inside comment input composable, we are going to use a column to arrange element vertically. Now you can see that fill max width is because we want it to fill the entire width of its parent, and we also set the background color to materialtheme.colors.surface. Now this animate content modifier is great for smooth transitions when the height of the input changes. Alright, now inside this column, we first of all going to call this divider. Now this is to separate the input comment section visually from the rest of the content of PostDetailScreen. Next, we use a row to position the text field and the send button horizontally side by side. Now, inside this row, we are going to place a box that will contain the basic text field and also a text composable for the text feed hint. You can see that here for the box, we are setting a minimum and maximum height for the text feed using this height in. The minimum should be 35 dp and the maximum height for the text feed should be 70 dp. We are also giving it a rounded background for a nice UI touch. Then we are setting this padding. In the horizontal direction, we should have a medium spacing, and in the vertical direction, we should have a small spacing. Okay, then for the last modifier, this weight of 1F means that the box should take the remaining space after the button has been placed. All right, then inside this box, we are going to place our basic text field. We bind its value to comment text, and we use onValueChange to update the text by calling this onCommentChange callback. The modifier fillMaxWidth makes sure it takes up the entire width available, and this text style and cursor brush customize the text color and the cursor, making sure that we are matching the actual theme of the application. We also add a hint inside the box to show when the text feed is empty. This is because a basic text feed doesn't offer a slot to place a text feed placeholder text, also known as text feed hint. Because of that, we have to use this text composable that should display only when comment text is empty. We use the align modifier to center it inside the box and give it a subtle color with a reduced opacity to make it look like a placeholder. Of course, I have also added this comment hint. It's just a text that says add comment. Alright, now let's move on to the send comment button. So right below this comment input composable, we'll go ahead and create a new composable for the send comment button. The send comment button composable takes in this send comment enabled parameter to let the caller decide when the button is enabled or disabled, and a onSend click callback to pass the button click event to the caller. Inside this composable, we first define this variable border and assign its value using the if expression. If the button is not enabled, then we assign a border stroke with 1 dp for the width, and the color is set to material color with 30% of opacity. If the button is enabled, then we need to assign a null for the border stroke. Alright, now below this border variable, here we need to call the button composable, which has a few interesting properties. We are setting the enabled to send comment enabled, and for the colors, here we are using buttons default button colors, and we set the disabled background color to be color.transparent, and for the disabled content color, we set that to material surface color with opacity of 30%. And by using buttons.elevation, here we make sure that the button is flat with no shadow, which aligns with our design. Then inside this button, we simply add a text composable to display the send text. Alright, now we need to come back inside comment input composable. So below this box, we'll need to call the send comment composable, and for the send comment enabled, here we just need to call comment text dot is not blank. For the onSend click, we will pass a new lambda inside which we call onSend click. Now this onSend click is the one that is passed here to comment input, and it needs to take a string, so we pass the comment text. Next, we need to go inside PostDetailScreen composable. Let me scroll up. So from here, we will need to place our lazy column in a column so that we can place the comment input section right below it. So I will copy the code for the lazy column. I will cut that and place it inside this column. Alright, now before we call the input comment composable, we need to define a state variable for the comment text. So I will scroll up right below this should fetch more comment variable. Now here we will define this comment text state variable, and of course we use RemovePostCommentUseCase API to make sure that if the input text feed had already some text that the user has typed, it can survive configuration changes. Additionally, we also define this variable keyboard controller to hide the keyboard whenever a comment is sent, for example. So it will help us control the keyboard. Now, of course, this is an experimental API, so you need to add this opt-in experimental compose UI API. After that, we will come back inside the column that we just defined here, and right below this lazy column, we will call our comment input. Notice that for the onSend click, we first make a safe call to try to hide the keyboard, and then we reset the comment text state variable to an empty string. Of course, I have commented out this code because we need to define a new post detail UI action for adding a new comment. And that's what we are going to do in the next step inside PostDetail ViewModel. Okay, now coming here inside PostDetail ViewModel, the first thing that we need to do is to pass the AddPostCommentUseCase to our PostDetail ViewModel constructor. You'll need to import this AddPostCommentUseCase. Then before we define the method for adding a new comment, let's add a new property to our comment UI state class for when a comment is being added. We will call this new property as isAddingNewComment. Now it's a boolean and the default value is set to false. Okay, now in the PostDetail ViewModel class, let's create a function called addComment. Right below this updatePost method, we will define a new method called addComment. This method will take the comment text as a parameter and will handle the whole process of adding it to the post. Now, as usual, we start by launching a new coroutine in the ViewModel scope. Then we grab the current post from the post UI state, and if there is no post, we simply return since there is nothing to comment on. We update the comment UI state to indicate that a new comment is being added. This is important for showing a loading indicator or disabling the comment input feed to prevent multiple submissions. After that, we call AddPostCommentUseCase with the necessary parameters, the post ID, and the comment content. This use case interacts with the repository layer to perform the network operation. Once we get the result from the use case, we handle it with a when statement. This is where we decide what happens based on whether the operation was successful or if there was an error. If there was an error, we update the comment UI state and we set the error message to result.message and we reset the loading state. Alright, now in case of success, we retrieve the newly added comment from the result and we update our comment list. Now notice how we prepend this newly added comment to the existing list to display it immediately at the top. Then we reset the loading state again to be false. Finally, we increment the comment count for the post to reflect the new comment and send an event using our event bus to notify other part of the application that the post has been updated. Now that we have our function in place, let's add a new UI action for adding a comment to our post detail UI action interface. Now this of course makes it possible to trigger the comment addition from our UI in a type safe way. Now below like or dislike post action, we will add a new data class for the add comment action. This of course takes in a comment string for the comment that we need to add. Okay, now next let's update the onUI action method in the ViewModel because this is where we handle all incoming actions from the UI. So we will have a case for when the post detail UI action is add comment action, and for that we will need to call our add new comment method, to which we need to pass the comment. This ties everything together. So when the user hits the send button, the add comment action is triggered and our ViewModel handles the rest. Alright, now let's go back to the post detail screen, and where we call the comment input composable, we need to uncomment this code for triggering the add comment action. Before we go ahead and run the application, we need to expand the DI package and open appmodule.kt. Of course, here we'll need to call the get function from coin one more time so that the add comment use case is injected to our post detail view model. All right, so now let's go ahead and run the application. All right, so the app has launched. Let's go ahead and try to open one post. So from what you can see, the comment input is not showing. I think the reason is because the lazy column actually takes up the available space because we set it to be max size. Let's go ahead and I will scroll up. Let me remove this. Now you can see that the lazy column actually takes up the maximum size, so it will take up the entire space inside this column. So what we need to do is to set another modifier, and we'll set the weight to be 1F, which means that it will take as much space as possible after other element has been placed, and in our case after this input comment section has been placed. All right, now let's go ahead and run the application one more time. All right, so the app has launched. Let's go ahead and open one of these posts. Now, as you can see, we are having our bottom input comment section right below this, and we can go ahead and click that. Okay, so to quickly fix this keyboard overlapping the input section, as you can see here, we'll need to go inside our Android manifest, open the Android manifest.xml. And to this activity, we need to pass the Windows soft input mode, and we'll set the value to adjust resize. All right, so now we can run our application one more time. All right, so the app has launched. Let's go ahead and click on one of these posts. Now, if we click on this input section, now, as you can see, the keyboard is not overlapping this input section anymore. So let's add a new comment. We will say new comment. So if we hit send, you can see that the keyboard has been hidden and and this new comment was added. All right, so we'll go ahead and add another comment. Let's call this another test comment. Right, so we'll hit send. And as you can see, this new comment has been added on top of the other comment. All right, so I guess adding a new comment works without any problem. Now, the remaining thing that we should add is the loading indicator whenever a comment is being added. So we'll go inside our PostDetailScreen.kt, and we need to, of course, expand the lazy column. Now, write this items block. We will need to check if comment UI dot is now not is loading, but is adding a new comment, is adding new comment. So in that case, we will also need to call loading more item. Now this is the circular progress indicator that will show whenever we are sending or we are adding a new comment. So let's go ahead and run the application to test this circular progress indicator and see if it's showing or not. All right, so the app has launched, and we'll go ahead and try to open this post. So we'll try to add a new comment, and we'll test to see if the loading spinner is showing. Okay, let's call this one as test comment, because this we'll try. Now you briefly saw, I hope, the circular progress indicator when this comment was being added. So what we can do to show this progress indicator is to add a little bit of delay. So let's go inside PostDetail ViewModel. So we'll need to locate our add comment method before we after we change this is adding new comment to true. So we can call here a delay of half of a second, and we'll try to see if it shows our comment being added indicator. So let's run the app again. All right, so the app has launched. Let's scroll down and choose maybe this this post here that has no comment. So we'll try to add a new comment. Let's call this new comment for the post. Right, so we can remove the keyboard and try to send the comment, and as you can see, it showed that indicator view. Let's add another test comment again. All right, so let's try to send that, and as you can see, that also was added with a progress indicator. Of course, the number of comment count also increased, and if we like this post and we go back, you can see that the post was updated. All right, now let's move on to the next step, which is removing comments. All right, now to implement the functionality for removing comments, we are going to create a bottom sheet that pops up when the user taps the three dot icon on any comment. This will provide options like deleting a comment or navigating to the comment author's profile. So let's go ahead and create a new private composable. We will do that right below this comment input composable, and we will declare this new composable comment more action bottom sheet content, and it needs to be passed here the post comment. We need to import that. We will pass this can delete comment boolean to control whether the delete action is enabled, because only the author of the post or the author of the current post comment should be able to delete the comment. Note that we also pass two lambdas, on delete comment click and on navigate to profile, to handle the respective actions when they are selected. Now inside this composable, we will use a column to stack our element vertically. This ensures that each option is organized starting with the title. Now for the title, we will pass this text composable which has the style material typography subtitle 2. Now we need to create a string resource for comment more action title. So we will just say comment. Now below the title, we will add a divider to separate the title from the actions below it. Next, below this divider, we will add a list item for the delete action. Now, of course, this list item is experimental, so we need to add this opt-in experimental material API. Now, what you can see is that this list item is wrapped with this clickable modifier, which takes our can delete as a condition. So if can delete is true, the delete action will be enabled, otherwise it remains disabled. And for the onClick action, we are going to pass onDelete comment click, which need to take the comment. Now this list item also contains a text component for the delete action label and an icon to visually represent it. Now note here that we are using the default delete icon from the material icons library, but feel free to customize it based on your app design. All right, now below this first list item, we will need to add another list item for visiting the commenter's profile. So we will go ahead and add another list item. This one is always clickable, as we assume that you can always view a profile regardless of whether the comment can be deleted or not. Now the onClick lambda here calls on navigate to profile, passing in the user ID from the comment. This will navigate to the profile screen of the user who made the comment, allowing us to see more details about them. Similarly to the delete action, this list also has a text component for displaying the action label, but instead of a deleting icon, you can see that here we are using circle image composable to show the user's profile picture, making it more intuitive and visually engaging. All right, now before we move to the ViewModel logic for removing the comment, we need to navigate to our PostDetailScreen composable. So let's go inside PostDetailScreen composable. We have already a lot of code inside here, so I will try to collapse this as much as possible. All right, now to set up our model bottom sheet here inside a PostDetailScreen, we will need to declare here a state variable, and we will use RemovePostCommentUseCase bottom sheet state, and by default the state value is set to hidden. Now I guess this is also an experimental API, so we need to add that annotation, and we can now import this model bottom sheet value.hidden. Now below the state variable, we are going to call RemovePostCommentUseCase to create a scope variable for calling new coroutines. And as you can see, we also define this selected comment with RemoveSavable to persist the selected comment across configuration changes. Now you might have noticed that we are trying to use a custom server here. This is because our comments class from the domain layer does not implement the parcelable interface, which means we can just save and restore it automatically. So we are going right below all our composables. So above this post detail preview, now here we are going to define this variable for our custom server. We call it post comment saver. Now in this save function, we convert the post comment to a map, and in the restore function, for the lambda that we passed for the restore function, we reconstruct our post comment from that map. By using this custom saver, we can persist the selected comments across configuration changes without needing it to be parcelable. Keep in mind, this is not the only way to handle this. You could also manage the selected comment state in your view model. However, I choose not to do that here to show you another solution. All right, now coming back inside our, where is that? Okay, now coming back inside our PostDetailScreen composable. Okay, now below our state variables, we are going to call this model bottom sheet layout. We need to import that, of course. And we pass in the state, and for the content, we first need to check if there is a selected comment. Now note here that the screen content will go here. Let me cut this screen content. So you need to cut all the code that we had between our launched effect and the state variable, and all that code will go in here for the content slot. So there we have it. Our content goes here. Now for showing our model bottom sheet, we need to call our comment more action composable, which we created earlier, if there is a selected comment. So we need to save call this selected comment and make sure that it doesn't have a value of null. So then we call our comment more actions composable. We pass in the comment, this post comment, and for the can delete, we need to pass postComment.userID equals to postUI state.post.userID. Now for now, we are just passing this condition that checks if the postComment.authorID equals to the current author of this post. We should also pass another field to our post comment class, which should tell us if the current user is also the owner of the comment, because they can be the author of the comment, but they are not the author of the post. So we will see how to add that at the end of this video. Now you can see that we are also passing two lambdas for our on delete comment click and on navigate to profile. Now coming here for this on delete comment click, now here we need to launch a new coroutine using our scope variable. So we launch a new coroutine and use the state to hide our bottom sheet, and we will invoke this invoke on completion, to which we need to pass a new lambda, and inside that lambda we check to see if the bottom sheet has been hidden, and if so, we will reset the selected comment to null. Here also I have commented out this code that we are going to add to inside our post detail view model to trigger this remove comment action. All right, and now then for on navigate to profile, now in this lambda we are going to do pretty much the same. We launch a new coroutine and we check to see if the bottom sheet has been hidden, and in that case we reset the selected comment to null, and we need also to call on profile navigation, to which we need to pass the user ID. Of course, let's quickly define this on profile navigation callback right above on UI action parameter. So we will define this on profile navigation, which need to take the user ID. Okay, now one more thing to point out. We created this project with Material Design 2. So the way we are integrating this model bottom sheet layout is a little bit different from Material 3. If you are using Material 3, you'll find that adding this model bottom sheet is even easier. I highly recommend that you check the official documentation for the updated approach if you are using Material 3 and you want to continue following this tutorial without switching to Material 2. Okay, now before we move on to post detail view model, let's scroll down And here we need to pass a callback for on profile navigation. Okay, so for the next step, we'll be inside PostDetailViewModel.kt to define the remove comment action. All right, now the process for removing a comment is quite similar to what we did for adding a new comment. The first thing we need to do is pass the RemovePostCommentUseCase to our ViewModel constructor. So let's go ahead and import this RemovePostCommentUseCase. Next, we will define a new method inside this ViewModel right below add new comment. Okay, so normally right below this comment, I'd like to collapse this. Okay, so right below this add new comment method, we will define a new method called remove comment. It takes in a post comment. All right, now as usual, in here we will use our ViewModel scope to launch a new coroutine. Then inside this coroutine, we first retrieve our post from post UI state. If it's null, we exit the function early since we can't remove a comment without knowing which post it belongs to. Then right below this post variable, we define another variable for our comments. So we actually grab the current list of comments and we store that inside this variable. Now this is going to be useful if the remove comment action fails, then we can roll back to our previous list of comments. After that, we filter the existing comment list to remove the comment that matches the comment ID of the post comment that we want to remove. Then the updated list is assigned back to comment UI state, and after assigning this new updated list, we are going to call RemovePostCommentUseCase and pass the necessary parameters, the post ID and the comment ID. After calling the use case, we are going to use a when expression to handle the result. If there was an error, we restore the original comment list and set an error message. Now, in the success case, we update the post to reflect the decreased comment count. Then we send an updated post updated event using our event pass. This ensures that all the parts of our application that are observing this post will receive the update. All right, so now that we have a remove comment method set up, we need to update post detail UI action interface. Now below this add comment action, we are going to declare here another data class for removing a comment. So we'll have this remove comment action that need to take a post comment. Then we can scroll up and provide another case for this remove comment action, and for that we'll call this remove comment method. All right, now before we run the application and test, let's not forget to add the get call function here inside app module for the constructor of PostDetailViewModel. Okay, so then let's go back inside PostDetailScreen and we need to uncomment the action that triggers our remove comment action. Now this code that triggers our remove comment action, we need to uncomment that, and then we can now run our application and test. Now, of course, the code is now going to compile because we need to pass the on profile navigation. So here we are going to use our navigator to navigate to profile destination. We need to import this profile destination and we will pass the author ID. Okay, so let's run the application again and we're going now hopefully to test the application. All right, now the app is ready. Let's go ahead and open this post and we're going to try to delete a comment. So we can click on this three dot. Of course, our model bottom sheet is not showing. Now, of course, the reason this is not showing is because we need to go inside our PostDetailScreen and locate where let's expand this column, and inside our lazy column, let me get rid of this. Now here where we are setting this comment, where we're calling this comment list item, for on more icon click here, we need to first of all set the selected comment to it. Now of course this is being shadowed. Call this one as post comment. All right, so for the selected comment we'll pass it, and then we need to launch a new coroutine and call sheet state.show. All right, now let's run our application again and test. All right, so okay, now the app has launched. Let's go ahead and click on this post here and let's wait after it loads all these comments. We can scroll down to view more comments. So we go ahead and click on these three dots. As you can see, now we have our bottom sheet that pops up. If we click on this action to view the profile, actually it will navigate us to Mr. Deep profile. We can go back now. Since this is our post comment, we can click on the delete action, and as you can see, the comment was deleted and also the comment count decreased by 1. All right, so we can try to delete another comment like this. Okay, now before we add that new property to our post comment class, let's try to navigate to a post that Mr. Deep doesn't own. So we'll try to see if the delete action actually is enabled. Actually, we can click on this delete action and it is disabled because we cannot remove this comment because we are not the owner of this post. But what I need to add actually is the ability to remove this post because we are the owner of the post comment. I mean the ability to remove the post comment because we are the owner of this post comment. For now, the condition to remove a comment is to be the actual owner of the post. So if we click here, for example, even though it's our own comment, we are not able to remove it. You can see that this action is disabled. So, all right, guys, now for the post comment author to be able to delete their own comment, we will need to go in our shared module. We need to open PostComment.kt. We'll need to open PostComment repository implementation.kt and also post comment models, where we define our remote post comment. So starting with this data class, the model post comment, the domain model post comment, here we need to add this new property is owner, and the default value will be set to false. Then we can come here inside post comment repository implementation. For this first method where we get our list of posts, we need to here when the result is successful and we want to map the API response to our domain comment, we need to pass a boolean that tells us if the current user is the owner of this comment. Now, if I go, for example, to this method here, to domain post comment, now it's taking this boolean to set the is owner property. Now, coming back inside post comment repository implementation, when we add a new comment and we receive a successful result, when we want to map our API response data.comment to domain post comment, we also going to pass this is owner, for which we need to call API response.data.comment.user_id if that is equal to current user data.id, the same way and the same as what we did here. We also compared the comment that comes if the user ID equals to this current user.id. The same thing need to be done when we want to remove a comment. So here inside this remove comment method, when we have this comment, if we had this comment that comes from our backend, because for example we couldn't remove that comment, so the backend will return that comment. So what we do here is that to convert it to domain post comment, we pass this is owner boolean, and we do the same if the comment.userid equals to current user ID, then it's the owner of this comment. All right, so now we can close all this, and then we will need to open our PostDetailScreen.kt, and if we scroll up, now here for this condition can delete comment, it's true also if the post comment the is owner is true. Let me bring this to the next line, right? So to be able to delete a comment, we are going to check if the post comment.userid is the author of the current post, right? They can delete the comment if they are the author of the post, or the current user ID is the owner of this post comment. So now let's run our application and see if the option to delete a comment is going to be enabled for Mr. Deep on posts that he didn't create. Okay, now let's go ahead and click, for example, on this post here. And as you can see, let's let's wait. Now from what you can see, Mr. Deep added these 3 comments. We will try to remove a comment. Now you can see that the delete action is enabled for Mr. Deep, even though he doesn't own this post here. Because he is the owner of this post comment, he can now delete the comment, right? And also the post comment count also is updated. If we go back, you can see that the post has been updated. All right, guys, now that's it for this episode, this second part of episode 20. Now, in the next video, we are going to start working on the followers and following pages, because as you can see, we are still loading our fake data. So we will be working on these pages here for the follower and following. And as for now, take care. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.